Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 519, recorded on the weekend of May 27th. I'm your host, Patrick. The solo for the news today. This week's screenshot, Slain, focuses your mind on the 368th screenshot of the week. That is the Cult of the Sixth Door, a very lovely door. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording, and the next show will probably be next weekend. You can stay updated following us on social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, there's almost no game news to speak of, or really any news. But we will be starting or continuing our leveling discussion with 27 to 29. So this will kick off a couple of weeks of our new section of that series. We'll start off by I'll mention the one bit of game news, which was that update 39, which we know will be Whitepool Mountain. Cordovan said that they'll have more information about that later this summer, more likely. They're just not ready to talk about it yet, which is probably why we're not getting a lot of game news, is they're not really ready to talk about much of anything yet. However, we do have some community news. We have the 284th Chronicle, featuring Deep Reap streaming DDO regularly on Twitch and organizing raids twice per week. Axel discussed Reaper difficulty in a new video. Ginger Sprice began a new round of Reaper life. There was no guild hall for the week. Rather, it was an advertisement saying, please, if you would like your guild to be featured, send them an email at contact@standingstonegames.com with the subject line Guild Hall to get your guild featured. The comment, there was actually a fourth elder in toxic treatment before the trial was deleted. What did the elder want you to do? I would guess that he wanted you to do something kind of silly. Maybe go dance with some satyrs or something like that. Something a little goofy. Let's see. We got a shout out for part 3 of our update 38 review. DDO Players News had the latest from DDO and Tabletop with episode 179. Strimtom was back with more internet. Fumble and Fame played DDO. Sip went to Mad Tea Party. Mickey had week 74 of raids. A Very Bad Guild was not very nice to villagers. Shoemaker got techie in the latest DDO Wiki Talk. McVegan Pants fought Medusas. Doug Glendower found purple banners and orange stars. Brighter Days Ahead celebrated spring. Tito LP found a nice vintage. Game Leo Dan developed and delved into decrepit tombs. And Bruce doesn't like the dessert he finds. That was the Chronicle for the 284. That was 2 weeks ago. This week's Chronicle, the community spotlights were Strimtom playing 8 hours of a 30 IQ build. Hephaestus conduct guild wars with Capture the Flag and DDO, so you can check those out. Tears Palladium hosted their annual Memorial Day ceremony on Discord. Let's see, the Highland Clan was the guild for the week, a Thelanis-based guild of a small group of adult friends that play nightly on the US. They have players at all levels of experience, their own Discord server, a stocked airship, and more. You can find them in-game to learn more about them if you're interested in joining. The comment for this week was, inside the chest is a fortune cookie +1. What does it read? Probably something along the lines of staying within the DDOcast theme. It reads something along the lines of all your chests will be level appropriate. Let's see, the fan site news for this week. DDO Players News had their 180th episode. DDO Wiki Talk had tips and tricks for getting the most info from the site. DDO PL got the bolts. McVegan Pans did giant hold walk-ups and more. Even Note leveled the lobies. Doug Glendower went to Forgotten Realms with Bard Life. Bachelagor spent Friday on ice. Brighter Days Ahead battled pirates. Inside the Magic Circle returned to Golanda. And Game Leo Dan continues his DDO Let's Play on YouTube with part 10. Also part of this week's Chronicle, the DDO Bonus Days was a 10% Buddy Weekend and double Mysterious Remnants through May 28th. They extended it for the Memorial Day holiday. It was 10% XP for every member in your party, and twice the chance for Mysterious Remnants to appear. Always a fun one. Store sales, it was a hack and stash weekend, so 25% off of Slayer boosts, loot boosts, and treasure hunter elixirs, as well as select shared storage. You could also get, with a weekly coupon, a lasting potion of Shield of Faith +2. You could get 5 of them with the coupon code Shield Faith. Not by any means the most exciting freebie of the week, but there you go. Also, Autos boxes have returned. You can get auto boxes from the DDO store now through June 3rd. That will take us to our lightning post. FuzzyDeck81 wrote in with our last show, noting that it's worth killing the fire bomber at least once. That's from Blown to Bits, which we did in DDOCast Flat. There aren't many Warforged Titans to collect for the Monster Manual 100 deeds, so you can just do a rerun on casual if necessary to kill that. He hasn't seen an elixir discovery yet, so the fact that it's a time-limited buff rather than being a one-off like a chest blessing is news. Makes it a lot more attractive to use on high B for running heroic quests on Elite to get some nice TR gear, or really just anything, I would say. He hadn't thought about using Global Invulnerability and running with the Devils to deal with the Stirring Light attacks. Is going to make life a lot easier. Presumably that could extend to a decent amount of things on Reaper 2. So he hasn't been running epics much recently, so he's been busy with a couple TRs, but from what he's played, the changes to melee power in the Destinies is certainly a very noticeable boost. I would agree. So he's definitely going to be making more use of Shadow Dancer on a couple of his characters. It also means there's an even more significant power jump once you hit level 20 if you already have Destiny levels versus not having any. As a bonus, though, it means Grandmaster of Flowers will be a lot less painful to level for non-centered melees, since you'll get at least that melee power, even if you still can't use a number of the cooler abilities. Grandmaster of Flowers is fantastic if you are a monk and centered, and really not so much if you aren't. Although, I'll be honest, I still have not gotten very much out of Shadow Dancer on any character. It's one of the Destinies that I seem to play the poorest. Alright, that covers this week's news. Like I said, it's been a pretty slow week. Slow couple of weeks, actually. We took a week off last weekend. In part because there was no news, and even 2 weeks of news is very short. So we'll get ready to get into our leveling series. But thanks for listening to the show, and thanks to all the people who contribute to DDOCast and make this happen. And thanks to San Antonio Games and Wizards of the Coast for making DDO happen, and to Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage, or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email me at ddocast.com@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be part of the show, you want to comment on this episode, maybe a question you'd like to hear us answer, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, go ahead and leave us a comment, or you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media for the latest cast updates. I am at DDOCast on Twitter. Our closing tip for the week comes from Dream on Galanda. Don't pike. So we will be coming back shortly. Stay tuned for part 1 of our next set of levelings. This will be leveling 27 to 29 with Asheras. Please enjoy. We are talking today about leveling 27 to 29. With me this week is Asheras. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, this should be a fun topic. I'm your host, Patrick. Uh, this is kind of an interesting level range. This is continuing our series. We've made it up to 26 before, so we're continuing our leveling series, breaking down quests in these kind of leveling ranges. What quests we like for leveling, what's available, really kind of almost a summary of all the quests and stuff, but really from the approach of what's good for leveling, what are one of the good ones to go to, what are some maybe you want to avoid. We're to level 27, 29, and there's a couple of things that kind of become really apparent at these levels. One is there's not a lot of quests here. We were talking about this before we went live. There's there's not very. There's 2 chains and 3 standalone quests in these 3 level ranges. You thought some of the heroic levels were sparse?
Yeah.
Welcome to epics. Now, why that is they've been releasing a lot of newer content since level cap went up to 30 in the 30, 31, 32 range, which is great because, and we'll talk about why that is next time. And we're fine with that. It would be nice, as you mentioned, if there were quests that were more quests in these ranges, just because, there's some nice, it's not hard per se to level, but there'd be nice if there were some more options.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things to note here is that the level cap was at 28, and that was probably outside of going back to when the level cap was raising crazy when it went from 10 to 16. Level 28 was a very short time period because it went to 25 with Menace of the Underdark, and then it went to 28 with Shadowfell, if I recall correctly. But then relatively quickly thereafter, it went to 30. And so we just weren't at 28 very long. And so there wasn't a real opportunity to build up a bulk of content in this range. We kind of flew past it, so to speak.
Really? Because I felt like we were at 28 for a while.
You think? I don't know. I'd have
It
to go back
felt
and
like
actually
it.
look.
And the reason why I say that more than anything else is because you had this scenario when we went from 28 to 30, and we're like, oh gosh, we have to go these 2 more levels to epic reincarnate.
That's true.
And it was, and they were really clear at the time that when we went to level 30, that you have to go to level 30. But it felt like it was certainly long enough that people got used to just going to level 28 to reincarnate. So
I think one of the things that really helps us out here, though, too, is the revamp of Kenneth crafting, because one of the big issues with this level range, because there's so little content, that also means there's not a lot of named items you're getting after you leave Giant Hold until you start getting into a lot of the legendary gear at level 28. And so that was always a problem was, okay, I'm basically wearing the same gear I was wearing from level 24, 23 until I get to 28. But now with Kenneth crafting, that fills in this gap nicely. So I think that there's not a lot of issues in the fact that there's not much content here because your character power is strong enough that you can run a lot of things. And with Reaper now, you can also just amp up the difficulty or lower the difficulty as fits and pull content forward and backward.
And let's face it, people are running dailies as well. So most of which we've already talked about. Yeah, there's adventure areas and stuff, which we'll talk about in another segment when we get into Slayer areas. So it's not that there's not XP available. It's not really necessarily hard to get here. The challenges, the Evening Star challenges, there we go, are really good XP that you can run anywhere in this range as well, which we haven't really talked about very much. So the fact that there's not a lot of quests here is not necessarily a problem. The other thing is any of these quests you can run with level 30s and you get full bravery streak. You get some penalties to Reaper XP, but I think the prevailing wisdom these days is, you're probably not going to run. You're going to really maximize your Reaper XP in epics when you get to the level 30 and above quests, because Reaper XP doubles when you get to those quests. So, anyways, let's talk about the quests.
Okay.
Level 27. there's one chain. That's the Stormhearts.
Yep. It's a good chain.
It is.
It's funny because I didn't initially enjoy this chain quite so much when it came out, but it's really, in my opinion, aged well. Some of the quests are very unique. Like Lines of Supply to me is just a really fun quest with a
I
really
wish we had some more of them.
with a really unique mechanic that doesn't exist elsewhere in the game, and I always enjoy that. The sense of all those waves coming at you and you having to keep them there and chase them down if they get past you. It's really fun to me. So
yeah, you've got Breaking the Ranks, which is kind of you stand there and kill the numerous waves and stuff, and then Lines of Supply is kind of that same numerous wave kind of thing, but you're preventing them from getting somewhere else, which is what really makes that a lot of fun. And there's that really fun sense of I won't say fear or anything like that, but adrenaline. If one of those guys, particularly one of the fast ones, one of those fast gnolls gets past you, and somebody comes to race, you're running down there to try and kill it before it makes it there, right? So, So the other ones we didn't talk about there yet is the Tracker's Trap, which is kind of more of a standard-ish kind of quest. Breaking the Ice, kind of similar as well, but there's this little kind of optional area that you can go through quickly, or you can kind of get them all. And then the capstone is what goes up, which has it's a huge quest for XP in the sense that you can get it has a very high base XP. On the flip side, it does take longer.
Yes. This is one of those quests which I'm reminded of Stealer of Souls, as well as a 6-man quest that seems like it was bordering on a raid at some point. But it's a very challenging quest. Even today, and if you go up into Reaper especially, with a unique end fight mechanic that's kind of fun and challenging. And if you've never done it as well, there's a nice storyline going on there that's pretty cool too. So
yeah, I don't know whoever came up with the idea of a flying iceberg, but
it's coming crashing down to Earth. Yeah, a little bit Age of Ultron Avengers-ish there,
without really meaning to. It's a weird. It's kind of a funny. I remember going through the first time. I was like, wait, he's gonna invade on an iceberg, a flying glacier? That's okay, cool. That's weird. But yeah, it is. It's a very high yield XP quest, but not necessarily. There's better XP per minute options, but people do run it for it. It's one of those quests that I like. I really love when I can time it where I'm not on an XP pot. I've got like 5 minutes left on an XP pot. Go in there, do the whole quest. Right at the end, chug the XP pot. It's a great quest for that. But you're right. The end fight can be pretty challenging because there's a lot of waves of mobs and stuff, so it can kind of catch people. And there's constant respawns and stuff like that, which can make for a hairy end fight.
Absolutely. Now, and all these quests are part of, I think, 2 sagas, if I'm not mistaken. So, completing them will also get you a lot of saga XP, which is really great too. Another thing I like about all these quests is they have guaranteed named item drops from the end reward giver, from the quest giver. So, if you're looking to, and they're relatively high level items as well. So if you're looking to feed a sentient item, running these quests, you're guaranteed to get something named item.
You can't feed them to the sentient weapons.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Oh, I thought you could.
No.
Oh, that's a bum.
Or at least the Wayloon ones you can't. I don't know that I've tried with the Storm
tried with
ones,
these,
but yeah, the ones in Wayloon are quote not a named item.
Oh, okay. I'm checking the wiki, and I'm not seeing if it says that they are.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I agree. But there are some named items in here that are good sentient weapon food that are kind of past their prime. Those named items that you're talking about, and the ones from Wayloon are kind of past.
They are. Yes.
They're not that great. They weren't really fantastic to begin with, but I think they put them in there kind of as a way for. Because this was an expansion, so if people were kind of coming into the game and needed some gear kind of a thing,
I think so too.
Heroics, which was great, a great idea.
Yeah, all the named items that drop in the chest, those are able to be fed to sentient weapons, and you're right; those are all also past their prime at this point. So,
anyways, back to the quests. I think these quests would get run more if there weren't a bunch of. I mean, they're mostly kind of longer-ish quests. Lines of Supply, especially with the all the optionals, is really good XP. And it's not that these aren't bad XP, but they're just kind of longer. And there's when we start talking about level 30, 31 quests, there's a lot of shorter quests that you can do faster. And the reason why that becomes a talking point is because people looking to maximize Reaper XP, and these quests are not. You can get the same amount of XP from what goes up for Reaper XP in a bunch of other quests that are half the time. So
yeah, this is not a place to be for Reaper XP for the most part. I agree with that. It's better for Quest XP.
But it is a really solid quest chain.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Level 28 is just 3 standalone quests. One of which, spoiler alert, I still haven't done Brothers of the Forge.
Oh, you haven't?
No, okay. I never. Brothers of the Forge, Mask of Deception, I've never run. Because people that I'm with never run it. So, which tells me that it's not a favorite in terms of leveling.
No, Brothers of the Forge, it's a fun quest. I enjoy it. I've only run it a handful of times. I wouldn't even say that I necessarily know it that well, but it's not great XP per minute. It's as far as I recall, it's a longer quest, and it gives decent XP, but nothing great. And I don't even recall if there's any named items that come out of it. If they are, they're not anything that interests me. Probably something more Forge based.
I know it has the augment, Golem's Heart augment, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
Which I know people have run the quest because I've bought several of them off of the auction house.
Oh, it has the Deconstructor augment in it, which is the one that upgrades your weapon to adamantine. Yeah, and inflicts destruction and rust damage. And I've picked up some of those in the auction house, so someone's definitely running it. It also has a named docent in it, which doesn't do anything besides give you elemental absorption.
But it's not a popular quest by any means. Another one, Tower of Frost, which is a newer quest, which I have run a couple times. Fun quest, decent XP. It's a bit of a longer one, and it's not very linear.
No.
So you look at the quests we've talked about, like all the ones in the Stormhorns are pretty linear. The ones that I'm not sure about Brothers of the Forge, but Tower of Frost is not very linear. And something I've noticed is, as a general rule, in terms of like optimizing XP, people tend to avoid non-linear quests. There are some exceptions to that. I forgot the full name of it.
Through the Mirror Darkly, I think.
Yeah, something like that. That's right, Through Mirror Darkly. That one's really popular because once you learn it, you can cruise through it and get a ton of XP really fast. So, but Tower of Frost doesn't have that like huge XP bump, and I don't know, it never really took off. I think partly because the XP is fair. The named items are decent-ish, but not really popular or anything like that, so it doesn't really take off.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a fun quest. It has that very unique puzzle where you're doing the play, which is kind of cool. It had that unique. The first time we saw them, the oozes that are actually piles of coins. So it had some really fun stuff to it, and it's an interesting quest. I agree, though. It's just the XP per minute's not great, and the named items are okay, but they're kind of average-ish, I guess. This was one of those ones where they didn't put anything in there that was really super compelling. They put a dart in there, as I recall, which
the snowball.
Yeah, the snowball, right. But no one's building a dart build, so it's kind of
it's unfortunate. Although you could cosmetic it with a shuriken, couldn't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
Someone should do that.
Right.
That would be a good cosmetic
Hmm.
for a weapon. But yeah, it's a good quest to run. If you're looking for quests that you haven't run to get the first time bonus, it's perfectly acceptable. Um,
Yeah, I think, and that's one of the things to remember when you're running through epics. If you're doing a lot of epic past lives,
mhm.
and so you use up a lot of your first time bonuses, maybe you used up some of your adventure areas in previous lives, and you're not quite ready to do a TR or a racial or an iconic to reset your first time bonuses, you might be going to look for some quests you haven't run, and Brothers of the Forge or Tower of Frost might be a good one to hit on that second or third epic life.
Before you go there, though, I recommend the Haunted Halls of Evening Star, which is also
That's a
level
great one.
28. This was
Yeah.
the first classic adaptation that hit DDO, uh, and it's fantastic.
Oh, I love
Again,
this quest.
it's another one of those quests that it's very non-linear. So I think it's not really on the XP train from this standpoint that if you don't know this quest, you can easily spend 2 hours in here on the standard version, let alone
Oh,
the extended version.
this quest is huge.
Yeah,
There is so much to do in here. And because they were really trying to be faithful to
and
the
it is.
PnP module, and it is, there's a lot of things that don't involve combat in here.
Mm-hmm.
Or, there's a lot of traps. If you're a rogue, this is like, a dream for you, or an artificer. Anyone who can do traps, it's a really fun place. But there's a lot of fun stuff going on in here.
The first time I was in this quest, within 5 minutes, I literally got killed by a door. And technically, it was a pit in front of the door, but
Yeah.
um,
It's yeah, it's got a lot of traps. It's got a lot of just unique stuff. I think I got trapped in that one tunnel that runs underneath the toilets. Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of places you can kind of get stuck into or just kind of get confused by. It's a big one. It's a lot of fun though. I really enjoy this quest. It's one of those ones that no matter how many times I've run it, I enjoy it every time I run it.
Yeah, definitely. This is not necessarily like a high yield XP quest necessarily. I mean,
Yeah.
if you optimize it and you know the group that can really cruise through it, you can do that. But if you haven't ever run Haunted Halls of Evening Star, please go run Haunted Halls of Evening Star. It's a fantastic quest. You will almost certainly really enjoy it. If you have a guide, it'll might help if you don't like the getting lost kind of aspect of things. But very enjoyable. There's some strange mechanics that might catch you off guard, but a lot of fun. Um, Wilbur Star from the chat saying if you can't find secret doors, it can be a little bit more painful. That's
Yeah.
probably true.
Mhm.
Bring a rogue.
Well, remember it's a PnP dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
so a balanced party is really going to excel in here. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily say that of all of the classic modules they've done, but this one especially,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a balanced party really works well in here, and it's
The
a
other
lot of
thing to
fun.
know if you're looking for, particularly for new places to run and maximize that first time bonus and stuff, the Haunted Halls of Star has 3 different versions of it. It has the standard version, which someone in your party has to run to unlock the other 2. But you've got the standard, the extended, and the commentary. The commentary is the same as the extended, it just has different DM tracks. Because it's Ed Greenwood, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was saying someone from a band, not anyway. But Ed Greenwood, the person who created the Haunted Halls of Evening Star, is doing kind of his commentary on it and kind of parts of it and stuff like that, which is really fascinating. And I recommend not just running Haunted Halls of Evening Star, but running on commentary at least once, and kind of wander around if you have time, just because it's really interesting. But each one of those settings has first time XP is like its own thing in terms of first time XP bonus. So that might be a compelling reason to kind of run through it. Again, if you're, I don't want to say you should wait till you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for first time bonus. And unfortunately, it's not really a popular quest in terms of leveling and even running these days. But it's a lot of fun.
It used to be more popular as well for a couple of reasons. One, there's a point where you have an infinite respawn that folks would use to kind of farm out remnants during the remnant weekends. And then there was also a lot of loot farming that was done in here as well, because some of the items
Yeah.
in here for a long time were very desirable. I
I'd
think
say
they're
they
all,
still are, some of them.
yeah, yeah. The lantern ring is, I mean, for an ML26 ring that's given you the Radiance, the Radiant Glory, and the Radiance Lore 8, along with a little insightful wisdom in there.
And the light proc.
Yeah, and like yeah, and the manual of stealthy pilfering is a great swap in if you're, a rogue, because it's got the open lock, the disabled device, spot, UMD on it, intelligence skills. It also has your least favorite item in the game, the necklace of mystic eidolons, which used to be a really great item. Luckily, it's not so great anymore, so you don't see people wearing it too much. Because insightful constitution and insightful dexterity, you can get better, I think, even with
Better
crafting.
lower now, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it has that Eidolon summons, which was always a flawed idea. Fun, kind of a fun flavor thing, but just not good.
It never played well with others in raids, and definitely had some issues there. The other one, the Purple Dragonite Shield, is also really good as well for what it does. If you're running into it's a lower level version of the Mirror Tower Shield from Ravenloft, essentially, but it helps absorb energy. It can be a really good tanking shield blocking shield as well. So
yeah, and the Mage Star trinket is another one of those spell absorption trinkets as well, which those you can't have enough of those. I'm a big fan of having the Mage Star, having the Pale Lavender Stone, having the Jeweled Cloak, because these are all exclusive, so you can't have more than one of them on your character. But if you get them all, and you can just swap them in as they're running out, it can really extend your life in certain content. Sure. So
let's move on to level 29, yeah, which has 4 options, a whopping 4. This is Orchard, Legendary Orchard, or Epic Orchard.
Yeah.
Which at the time has, if you're newer to the game and you just need some epic gear, this is a great place to hang out.
Yes.
There's a lot of really great gear. There was a huge gear bump when this came out. The quests are functionally the same as the heroic versions, so they're pretty easy to learn. I will mention that if you run these on heroic, you will not get a first time bonus in epic, which is why I tend not to run them in heroic if I don't need to.
Yeah.
So
which you generally don't.
Yeah, so that's important to note. Particularly if I do run them in heroic, what I'll do is I'll run them on elite and heroic, and then I'll run them in Reaper and epic. So you can get the first time Reaper XP bonus in epics at least.
Now, I think is this the one where they did make a change to Fleshmakers with the air elementals at the end?
It's not an air elemental, but I mean it's the same mechanics.
Yeah, but I think they either give you more time on the switches or something, so you can. That part's not as hard to do, I don't think.
That is true. Version. Yes. You do not. They don't turn. I don't think they even turn back on at all. They just stay off. So you can solo it, where you can't really do that with the heroic version. But yeah, functionally these are all the same. There's different mobs and stuff like that, but there's not really a different. There's nothing going to really surprise you in that sense.
Yeah. One thing I will say is these quests were easier, and then about a year and a half ago or so, they went through, and I know Ghost of Perdition in particular got harder. And
did
it? Yeah, it did. Now with Reaper gear and all that sort of thing, with all the newer gear and stuff, it's not going to be as hard. But there was a point there where Ghost of Perdition was tough, and it's a little bit of a difficulty bump up from some of the stuff you might have been running just prior to that. So
yeah. They are still pretty easy. Occasionally I'll see people running them for XP and stuff like that. Again, I think the reason why these don't get run as much in terms of XP is a lot of people are looking for Reaper XP. And if you go up to level 30, you're getting way more, over twice as much Reaper XP as if you run a level 29 quest.
It's not, the synergy's just not there right now. So
yeah, but having said that, if you're just looking to level up your past lives and stuff like that, it's a really great quest to run. They're not terribly difficult. They're not terribly long. In front of the dam is a little bit non-linear. If you don't know the pathing,
it's really fun. It's a unique quest in the game in terms of what it's doing. But yeah, it can be.
It used to be. I mean, Mirror Darkly is essentially the same mechanic.
That's true.
Other than the fact that you get to choose where you swap around, but yeah, I always liked it. But I know some people don't really like the mechanic and whatnot. But
Desiccated Temple of Vol has always been a very fast run too. Yes. In Heroics, it was a really great one to grind XP out of, and the Epic version that also applies. Although I just don't know that a lot of people need to grind, like you said, quest XP as much as Reaper XP at this point. So
right,
it's not.
But you can run these. These ones I think you can run at like level 25 if you needed to for some reason, but you probably take a little longer, but I think you get through them okay. And again, if you need some to kind of fill out some gear, it's a pretty decent place to go. There's some really nice helms in here, which Ravenloft does not have. No. But if you're looking to fill out gear, and I mean, yes, go to Ravenloft. That's probably a better place than here. But there's some stuff here that'll really help.
The Ravenloft stuff is all ML29. This is ML27. So this can be a nice bridge gap to get you to your Ravenloft gear. Because a lot of this stuff is going to be a step up from what you've got elsewhere. And I think, the stats on these are either plus 11 or plus 12. And that's, I believe, still better than what you can get on Caneth crafting at that level. Because I don't think you can get over that until you're level 30 on the Caneth gear. So it's good stuff.
I think level 30 is 15, stats are 15, but the insightful sets will kind of puts it over the top.
That's true. Yes.
So yeah. Well, there you go. There's level 27 and 29. That completes the epic levels of leveling. We'll be back next time. We'll be talking about the legendary levels. So that'll be fun. So thanks, Mr. Asheras, for joining me today.
No problem.
If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website, DDOCast.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. If you'd like to join the discussion, you can leave a comment, or you can email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.